What's up, you guys? Welcome back into another episode of the Battleground Podcast. Of course, this week is NWA TakeOverrr week, and all this week we're sitting down talking with all the superstars that are going to be a part of NWA PowerrrTrip that is this weekend, Saturday in Oak Grove, Kentucky. Of course, you can grab tickets right now, NWATix.com. Going to bring in my tag team partner, Eli's here. And this is a guy that's no stranger to the show. I think that along with Mayweather, this guy's been on our show. He's probably up there as most time spent on this show, right?
I think this will be the third time. Yeah, we've been
third,
real lucky.
Fourth, because we did one where we did 2 episodes with him from 1 episode. And then, you know what? This is the national treasure. Nick Aldis joins the show. Again, our friend Nick.
In the house.
Thank you very much. Happy to be back at the Battleground. Yes, I'm afraid I've lost count of how many times I've done it. But hey, it flies by. I enjoy talking to you guys.
It's great to have you back on. Of course, you got a big match this week. Of course, former friend, former business partner, Strictly Business, you and Thom Latimore, in an I Quit match. That is going down again this Saturday, Oak Grove, Kentucky, Valor Hall. You can still grab tickets at NWATix.com. How do you head into this? Like, because you kind of recruited Thom, so you kind of know his strengths and weaknesses. How do you head into an I Quit match with, I guess, somebody that you would consider a friend or did consider a friend?
Yeah, that's definitely past tense. Well, look, I was devastated when he decided to turn his back on me and somehow allowed himself to believe, and I'm still not sure quite how, or I should say who, planted those thoughts in his head, that I was sort of responsible for him not reaching his full potential. Somehow he sort of decided that I wasn't in his best interests, that I was holding him back, that he should be, in line for a title shot and the main events and all of these other things. Somehow, instead of him looking, inward, suddenly it all became about me. It's my fault because I'm in the position. And look, it's easy to think that way. I guess I'm surprised that someone with his level of maturity, given what he's been through and what we've been through together, that he would ever think that way. But that's a separate issue. But when I watched the I Quit match, how it came to be, I watched it unfold, and I was just, don't get me wrong, the adrenaline was pumping, but I was also just so confused because I was like, how did we get here? Because he was talking to Gary and Will and Rob on the post show, and suddenly it just kind of all goes right back to me, and it's escalating, and next thing you know, it's an I Quit match. It's clearly I've become a sort of demon for him that he needs to try to exercise. Right. For whatever reason, he's got it in his head that he has to smoke me, that has to be that's what he's sort of hinged his whole future on. And I guess in his mind, it's the ultimate humiliation to make me say I quit. I don't ever recall a time where I said, because remember, and I quit, saying I quit is different to submitting,
Absolutely.
I've tapped out before, and I've got no shame in that, because ultimately it's like, you got to live to fight another day. We're in the professional wrestling business, or at least we are. When I was 22 years old and Sting slapped the Scorpion Deathlock on me, I'm not going to risk putting myself on the shelf just out of pride.
Right.
I ain't going anywhere. So I tapped, and hey, fast forward to a few years down the road, and I returned the favor. So, but saying I quit is is a different kettle of fish. You know, it's a situation where you're essentially saying that, like, you win.
Mhm.
I give up. Like, I have nothing left. I can't fight you. I wouldn't be in the position I am, certainly not in the NWA or in my life. I wouldn't be in that position if I were the type of person to say I quit.
Right.
So, but hey, I'll give the devil his due. I don't see him as that person either.
Right.
But ultimately, this has to happen. I don't back down from a challenge. What I intend to do is win the match, wash my hands of this nonsense, and then recalibrate and refocus on what I need to do, which is to get myself back to the main event and to the World Championship.
And that's the plan. Because, I mean, you know the track record on this show. Everybody that comes on this show that doesn't have a title goes on to win a title. We had Trevor Murdoch on, so he's already got the title. No big deal. Mayweather came on yesterday, and, he's fighting Chris Adonis for the title on Saturday. I think that's going to happen. I think Nick Aldis is going to get that title back soon.
Well, I appreciate that. Right now it's right now the focus is on Matt Cardona and Trevor. And look, I have my opinions about the way Matt Cardona has conducted himself, but I've deliberately sort of recused myself from all of that because Trevor is more than capable of handling his own business. And by virtue of the fact that Trevor defeated me, he's earned the right to stand up for the legacy and the tradition, and the history of the NWA and of Harley Race and all the men who have held that championship before him. So he doesn't need me to fight his battles for him, but I'm very aware of it. And obviously, I'm sure you can imagine, how I feel about some of those comments. But hey, that's his prerogative. But I'll be watching that match very closely, no doubt.
Ooh, setting the stones in place for the next one. I like it. So sticking with NWA news, recently broke that you had re-signed with them. So congrats to that. And it seems to be kind of I don't know what you call it, exciting deal, whatever, advanced, whatever. What excites you most about re-signing with NWA? And then what does this mean towards your availability wrestling elsewhere? You've said, particularly on our show before, that you're open for business. So, does this still give you the freedom to go out other places, or just a little feedback on that?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I don't need to go into a ton of detail, but yeah, it's a very good situation for where I'm at in my life, because as you guys know, I'm also a business owner, and my wife is pretty busy. Yeah. We have a son, so it's the way that it's the way that it's laid out is really, I'm very proud of the deal that we came up with together, because that's really what it is. It was something that we kind of talked about. We'd Billy and I and Pat had we'd kicked around different kind of versions of it, in theory, and then when it actually came time to do it, it was really easy. It was actually kind of fun putting it together, because it was kind of like, and I think it's the kind of, it's obviously a very unique structure for, obviously not the sort of thing that you wouldn't do a deal like this with like a WWE or even an AEW, but like, because of this now, it kind of helps me define and be like rewarded for the contributions that I make sort of across the board. And it's a really motivating deal. Like, the best deals are ones that kind of that reward you and incentivize you. That's the way I look at it. Like you want to have, obviously, I very much appreciate having a guaranteed amount of money, 'cause,
Yeah.
That
there's
never
not,
hurts.
in the grand scheme of things, when you take all the pro wrestlers in the world, it's there's not that many that have that, so I'm already very fortunate. But then to also have sort of added kind of incentives, it's a motivating factor, because you never want to get too comfortable. You never want to get to a point where you sort of you're complacent. So I'm really pleased with how we came through with that. And as far as working elsewhere, working third parties, and being available, actually this deal it's carved out a little bit more definitively. So if anything, it's kind of more, I have more freedom in a lot of ways.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, very open for business. I'll be going after Oak Grove on Saturday. I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently, because I'm going from an I Quit match with Thom Latimore, and then I'm driving to Memphis to have a wrestling match with Jonathan Gresham.
Oh,
geez.
For Memphis Championship Wrestling. So I'm wrestling Gresham in Memphis on Sunday afternoon. Don't worry, you won't miss the Super Bowl.
Is it pure rules for that match?
Hey, if that's what they want, that's what they'll get. I can do that. I ain't afraid. I don't think that it was ever defined, but I'm happy to do it. And hey, I'm a big fan of Gresham, and I'm very much looking forward to mixing it up with him, because that's one of those matches that, to your point, came up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd love to see you wrestle Gresham. I'd really like to see that match. It came up, frequently. So very excited about that. And then next week I fly to Poland, where I'm headlining the second show for that new promotion out there, PTW, and they've got fantastic production value. It's a sort of blossoming market out there in Poland, and then these guys have really gone above and beyond with their investment in the product. And so I headlined the first show, and I'll be going back and headlining again. So it's very cool to be put in that position for sort of essentially the first non-WWE sort of televised wrestling shows in that country ever.
Wow.
And they've trusted me to headline now, too. So I'll be headlining that against Chris Adonis. So we're going to sort of pay off our little bit of business that weve had going on for quite some time as well. So yeah, it's
not on the plate.
Yeah, it's nice now that things are opening up, and the promoters out there there's a lot of new emerging promoters who are very enterprising and very impressive, and looking to put together those matchups that people want to see. And I know that it's sort of, it seems to be a never-ending kind of part of the conversation now about cross-promotional stuff. But that's we've been doing that from day one with the NWA, and to me that was kind of the essence of being the NWA champion. Was that idea that, hey, like the NWA, yes, is a promotion, but it's also, I remind Billy of this sometimes, like you own a sort of responsibility almost to kind of represent wrestling as a whole. And you can do that very effectively by kind of having, your best people kind of represent that brand and that lineage around the world, and which I have done. I mean, China, Australia, or Europe, all across the US. So I'm very much looking forward to sort of continuing that. And yes, look, at some point that needs to be with the 10 pounds of gold again, because that's the ultimate way to do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
We talked to Trevor about this. So I brought my 10 pounds of gold to Oak Grove in October when you and Trevor tag teamed, and I was going to get you guys both to sign it. And after the event, damn Mike Knox ruined everything. So I will have
I was the guy having to carry a belt around with him the entire match.
Yeah,
like
everyone
else does.
A freaking douchebag. I'm talking to the Hex with my 10 pounds of gold, and I'm like, no, I didn't get it. Anyways, so I will have it this weekend. Hopefully, I can get a signature from you while you're there.
We'll see. You know, we'll make sure.
Now, do you still charge?
Decides,
do you still charge champion rates for signatures? Or
oh man,
hey, look,
he definitely ain't gonna sign
like, it ain't show friends, it's show business.
It is. I'll pay. I'm
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Mike Knox, because that's an indication of I think that's really to me that's really, and I don't want to spend too much on this point, because I don't want to waste my breath on these two cretins, but it's real fun. You get these guys who spend all their time in WWE catering, and then suddenly they and you put in all this work to build a promotion, turn it into something that's viable. It's somewhere another place with voice work, and the first thing I want to come in and do is like plunder it, like like a couple of conquering pirates. Like the boy is it's a sad truth about wrestling, but there's a lot of wrestlers out there who never seem to grasp the idea that if you do what's best for the company and what's best for the business, you benefit more than if you just come and try and cut the golden goose open and steal the one and get the golden egg. It's going to lay golden eggs, man. But that, and so and I've known Knoxy for a long time. I considered him a friend, but I look, I get it, right? Everyone wants to be different. Everyone wants to make an impact. I'm gonna make a big splash. Like, hey, you do that with consistently performing at a high level, right? Especially now, you guys are wrestling fans. People can have whatever opinion they want about me. I don't have enough time to give a fuck. But if I say I'm going to do something, can you ever remember a time, especially during my run with the NWA, can you ever remember a time where I hyped a match or an appearance or something that I had going on, and then it didn't deliver, or it didn't deliver to the standard that I put you to expect?
Nope.
Right. And that is, as simple as that sounds, that's all I try to do every single time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't try to overpromise, or I don't try to make, ridiculous statements about changing the business, or, like, what, I don't need to change the business. I just need to worry about my business, and I'm trying to help the business. But Dory Funk Jr. said, hey, Dory gave me one of the best compliments I've ever had, where he said, I appreciate everything you've done, because you've done a great job of restoring this and leaving it in a better place than when you found it.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you come in and rape and pillage and everything, and you leave it as less value than you came in, like, what are you doing? Yeah.
And how do you collect on that? How do you collect on that for years and years to come?
Right.
Okay. You might get a short-term benefit from it. You might be trending. You might get a bunch of people talking about you and say, oh, wow, he's on a real roll. But like, in the long run, they're no business in that. So right. If I feel like what those guys are doing, Cardona or Knox, if I start to believe that what they're doing is fucking with my business and taking, potentially trying to take food off my table, then we'll have a problem.
Yeah. Of course, Thom Latimore going to have a problem come this Saturday in an I Quit match at Nick Aldis PowerrrTrip, Oak Grove, Kentucky. You can still grab tickets right now, NWATix.com. It's going to be a hell of a show. I mean, the card is stacked. And something that, as me and Eli we're big fans of this. We love tag team wrestling. And, last time we talked to you, you kind of little dropped subtle hints to us about a possible British invasion reunion, which we're now lucky enough to see that come true. It comes to fruition.
And what perfect example of what I told you. Do I ever tee something up without hitting the ball? No.
For sure. And I got a question, and I said this earlier when we talked about championship, and I could see that Nick Aldis, British Invasion, getting those tag team championship. But what's the experience been like so far? And is there a chance we see you two make a run at the Crockett Cup, which is coming to Nashville in March?
Backyard. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, look, the Crockett Cup is fast approaching, and obviously we really appreciate you guys and everyone who's going to be helping to try to spread the word about that and generate the interest for the Crockett Cup, because Nashville's a great city. I love this city. That's why we live here. And there's a lot of wrestling happening here this year. So we've got to sort of make our stamp on it, and I think we can do that. I mean, look, the last time we were in Nashville was at the fairgrounds for NWA 70, where it was the rematch.
That was a good day for you.
It was a great day for me. It was a good day for the company, good day for the business. A lot of guys got their first. A lot of guys who are on TV now, Ricky Starks, even Willie Mack, and Willie was obviously already well on his way, but like a lot of those guys really had sort of star-making performances on that show that helped Dexter Loomis. Dexter, when he was wrestling as Sam Shaw, him and Willie Mack tore the house down on that show.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now we see Loomis riding high in NXT, and Willie's doing his thing in Impact, and Starks is off in AEW. So it's again just like when you go back and look at those shows, and then Cody and I, we have an undeniable chemistry. And there was something special about, so there was a lot of factors going into it, is the point I'm trying to make. But there's something about the fairgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
The fairgrounds just got a sort of, it's that, you can't put your finger on it. It's a bit like the Chase in St. Louis. It's like, yeah, there are obviously sort of cooler buildings, I guess, or bigger buildings, and obviously, ones that might even be better suited. But like, there was something about when we were in there, it's like you can feel a little bit of that energy from all of the great wrestling that's been there through the years. There's a sort of, I don't know what it is, there's a spirit to, that's one of the reasons why I always try to push to sort of, if there are any of those historical buildings still running, I always try to sort of make that push, like, let's do the fairgrounds, let's do the Chase in St. Louis, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that, and then to sort of obviously, and then add to that the Crockett Cup. Obviously, Tennessee was not a Crockett territory. Obviously, they had they had Memphis and Jerry Jarrett and Lawler and everything. But there's a cool sort of hybrid kind of mix of tipping a hat to the history of the business in a couple of different ways, and then bringing it forward with guys from all over the world. And look, yeah. I've loved reuniting the team with Doug. Again, it only happened because there was a demand. It only happened because it was something that never went away. Even with having being the NWA World Champion for over 1,000 days, it was like it never went away. There was always a sort of consistent messaging from fans, kind of, man, it would be cool to see a British Invasion reunion. Man, I loved British Invasion. I was never really aware of it at the time, that we had, I guess, made more of an impact than I had given myself credit for. But we're having a lot of fun doing it, and obviously we're in a very different position now, because the first time around, I was so green, that I was limited, and that was that's why being in a tag team was a good place for me, right? Because Doug could excel where he excels, which is the wrestling and the ring psychology, and the leadership, like this, he's Cool Hand Luke, and I could be a little more brash and a little more cocky and explore that, and my verbal skills were pretty decent then, not what they are now, but they were still okay. But we kind of complemented each other. But now it's a kind of different dynamic, because now I feel like I'm pretty well rounded.
Yeah.
And Doug is obviously, in a different stage of his career, but he's also having like this great run, like this great resurgence, where he retired, and then like this is legit. Like Doug retired, and then basically just instead of trying to make some phony excuse, he just went, "I've changed my mind. I don't want to retire. Like,
yeah.
I love the business, and I'm pretty freaking good at it." And everybody just went, "Great, thank God for that." Like, he's in like arguably the best shape of his life, and he's I kind of liken Doug's style now to almost a bit like Rocky Balboa, like where it's kind of, remember like in the movie where they kind of said, you're a little older now, so you're bigger. So you're gonna basically rely on horsepower. Yeah. Like Doug's he's kind of evolved into like a power guy.
Yeah.
Because he's now like, especially I guess because the business overall has gotten smaller as well. So he, in terms of the talent, I mean, and he's like, so now he's 6 foot and 250, and he's like, he's a tank.
Yeah,
right?
he's
kind
big.
of. Yeah, so it's so he's kind of it's really cool to sort of work out our new dynamics where it's like, okay, here's where you excel, here's where I excel, here's how we can do this, and we can just have so much fun because now at this point he's got so much experience, I've got a pretty good amount of experience, we're both very comfortable in front of a microphone and in the ring and everything like that, so it's really a night off. So I mean, like as any chance I have to do a bit of that with Doug, absolutely. As long as I still can maintain my focus on where I need to be as a single.
And don't forget, pretty sweet tracksuits too.
Beautiful tracksuits. They were actually a gift from Tony Sinclair, who's a very well-known English wrestler from back in the day, and he was the booker of a very good promotion in Germany, and when Doug and I were out in Germany tagging together, and Tony gave us those as a gift. So yeah,
that's incredible.
And
well, if you guys enter the Crockett Cup, we're gonna have your support. So we'll be supporting you, I should say.
Hey, that's the intention. I mean, the Crockett Cup, like the Briscoes, British Invasion, La Rebellion. I mean, already you're like just a real good diversity of styles and characteristics and backgrounds, and I mean there's a lot to come in the and look, I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of the Crockett Cup is going to be shaped by what happens this Saturday, in Kentucky. So one step at a time, that's my focus now, and with all due respect to Jonathan Gresham, who is on a tear, like doing the best work of his career. I've got an I Quit match that I have to think about,
right?
And then I've now got to get through that in one piece, and then I got to hit the road and try to remember all my holds.
Yeah,
hopefully
all the counters and everything. Yeah. Well, this question, you would think that we kind of just wrote it down based on what you said earlier, but this was already here. So you were kind of tuned into it. So NWA has always been on the forefront of the Forbidden Door, going back to their, work with New Japan. And, I mean, they've always worked with other promotions. And like you said, the NWA champion's always been going to the different cities and defending and stuff. Recently, obviously, Matt Cardona made his presence known and is now going after the 10 pounds of gold. What does a free agent like Cardona bring to the NWA?
Well, I think that you answered part of that question really, in the sense that historically the NWA, that was the NWA. It was not a promotion. It was a collective of promotions, and the idea being that it kept everything interesting by making sure that all the different promoters across the country got sort of equal share of good attractions, and so as a collective they could all continuously be profitable by maintaining together, agreeing to maintain the value of certain guys and champions and so on and so forth. So in the current, in the modern era, it's like I always felt like the philosophy was to try to represent that without doing it, if that makes sense. So it's like the old adage, right, is does the champion make the belt or the belt make the champion? And the champion makes the belt, right? No question. And one of the best ways to do that, but you get to a point where it's symbiotic, they kind of like, it's a kind of self-propelling cycle. But a big part of that is the quality of your opponents, right? So like during my first run with the belt, like I just defended it in 4 different continents, and multiple promotions, and obviously a lot of stuff for Ring of Honor. So as far as like free agents, as long as I don't really care like about someone's contract status as far as like being a champion in the NWA. What I care about is that they respect what the opportunity is, that they respect the title that they have the opportunity to hold. Right. That they respect the history that Dory Funk Jr., Jack Briscoe, Terry Funk, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Pat O'Connor, Lou Thez. Like that's more important to me, that they understand that and they want to take that and enhance it and maintain that high standard.
Right.
I don't know if I can honestly say that about the gentleman you just mentioned, but
and that was what I was gonna
time
say.
will tell. Because ultimately, look, a lot of people say a lot of stuff to get attention, but I don't care who you are. When you hold that title, and especially if somebody like Dory Funk is in the house, or some of the old timers who have paved the way, it becomes very real, right? Yeah. It becomes, and because it has to. So as long as they respect the championship, and as long as their intention is to leave it in a better place than they found it, then I have no problem with it.
And you kind of worry though, because me and Eli have had this conversation, and I said to Trevor the other night, everywhere that Cardona has walked in, he's walked out a champion. Did it at GCW, did it in, Impact with the digital championship, any promotion outside of leaving WWE, he's walked in as he's walked out of a champion. So you got to think though, it's like if by some miracle Trevor doesn't come up and get the victory on Saturday, do you think that might tarnish the NWA? Because every time he's won that title, he's changed it and gotten rid of
it. Well, look, with all due respect to those other championships you mentioned, there are those championships, and then there is the 10 pounds of gold.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not denigrating the others, but they don't have the history. No other belt has the history and the lineage of the NWA World's Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. I will reserve my judgment, one, on the outcome of the match, and two, I don't, again, with all due respect to those other promotions and those other belts, I don't really give a shit what he did to those other belts. I give a shit what happens to the NWA Championship. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, of course, it's a concern. And if that concern gets any greater, then it will manifest itself in action.
Right.
So we're not putting that out there in the universe. So completely just scratch me asking that question. We're just going to scrub it from everything since it's out there.
Look, I mean, we're not talking about anything that people don't really already know deep down in their hearts.
Yeah.
Right.
And, deep down in our hearts, we've been big fans of NWA. And I got to say, when COVID hit, we were a little worried because it was like, you guys kind of stopped doing some stuff. You picked up Carney Land, which was really good stuff. and then you did the thing with.
It's okay. You don't have to pretend.
I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were talking about it
Okay.
yesterday, like how with the NWA All Access, how you'll probably start seeing more things that kind of show more personality.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a plan. I mean, if I have anything to do with it, I don't think Carneyland will be making a return. But hey, I was outvoted on that one.
Yeah.
But that's nonetheless. Yes. No, look, look, I was too. It was, you were right, and because it was unprecedented, and it was just, look, it is what it is. We don't have time to litigate it, but it was out of all of the promotions, I felt like it was really bad timing for the NWA.
Yeah,
Right.
Like just because at that, it was such a key moment of momentum and stuff. But hey, that's in the past, and I'm over talking about it. It's kind of like there's nothing, all we can do is move forward. And that one of my favorite one credo I try to live by is, you're either winning or you're learning. And there's a lot of learning that's taken place. And, so for people who have stuck with us, or even people who have written us off, it's like, hey, we've learned a lot. And it's a small group of people, and it's basically it's individually funded. So it's kind of like anyone, regardless of where you sit on the spectrum, I ain't going to try to sell you on the on the product, the brand. You should at least respect, if you love the wrestling business, you should at least respect anyone who's willing to continue investing in it to help move the economy forward.
Oh, of course.
And you guys have come back super strong. I mean, you had the women's division killing it. Of course, you had Empower killing it. The junior heavyweight title is back, which is an exciting thing. Of course, the Crockett Cup. And now we have
73.
Yeah, 73. And then we've got NWA All Access, which is on Fight. You can pay $50 a year and you get everything.
Or $4.99 a month.
Or $4.99 a month. But I mean, it's such a great time to be a wrestling fan, especially the NWA fans as us on here. So for Nick Aldis, what are you looking forward to most in 2022? I mean, NWA is on a rocket ship right now, and that projectile is going.
Yeah, I feel like 2022 is the year of the level up for me. It's kind of like Legacy is sort of, I'm at a key point in the business with Legacy where it's like we've got to scale and level up. We're at a key point with the NWA where everyone has to really sort of dig in and roll up their sleeves and go, okay, look, this is what's required to get from this level to this level, and then hopefully on the other side of this hard work is, more funding, better opportunities, better exposure, et cetera, et cetera. And so, people, I personally look at situations like that and I'm encouraged by it. I look forward to it. Like, I appreciate the journey, right? Like, I work out every day. I love bodybuilding. I love lifting weights. And that's essentially, it's a great metaphor for life, because you're going, look, for 1 hour or an hour and a half, whatever it is, it's like, some of this is going to suck. It's going to be hard, and you can choose to quit on the 8th rep, or you can push through and get 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that 12th one might feel like hell, but then you go home and you recover, and then you're stronger. And it's kind of like on the other, pain equals growth.
Oh yeah.
Right. On the other side of pain is something better.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Of course, if you need to go home and recover, you should always get Recovery PM Sleep Optimizer.
Yes.
Look at that.
Our best seller.
Trust me, I know that knocks me the hell out.
It's so funny because I have, I had to do at the end of the year, I had to do an analysis for insurance. Like you have to sort of go, it's boring, but you basically have to say like which products sold the most and what percentage of your blah, blah, blah. And I was really curious because I was like, well, I know that it's between Test X9 and Recovery PM. Like they're the two front runners without a doubt. And it was so the margin was like 0.3%. But Recovery PM, yes, because the repeat business on Recovery PM is staggering. Like the repeat customer rate on it is like over 80%. Like people just, Jeez. It's like people try it and then they go, oh my God, you know, and we, you know, my local gym stocks it, and that it's always the first thing that they run out of, and they're always like, we need to put another order in for Recovery PM. Like, you know, people are asking for us. You know, a couple of my gym buddies, you know, are like, hey, do you have any at the house? You know, like I need some more. You know,
where they're like, hey,
and it's I mean, but it's you know that, and look, I take pride in that because it works, and I'm glad that people are sort of understanding that. One of the reasons that we pushed it so hard, and especially as part of the Ultimate Test Stack, which is our best selling stack, is that, like, you know, all of these things that we are trying to accomplish when you work out and eat right, all of you're trying to encourage all these processes to happen in your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of those processes take place while you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's, you know, something that I've tried to get across over and over again, you know, when I'm trying to sort of, you know, get through to sort of gym guys, where it's like, look, the majority of your testosterone release occurs while you're asleep. Yeah. So if your sleep if you're not getting good sleep, like you're never kind of you're always going to struggle to unlock your full potential. And the same with, obviously, the reason I call it Recovery PM is, you know, because of training. Like, you know, you can have all the protein you want and all the subs you want, but again, if your sleep isn't good quality, it's, you know, all of that's going to go to waste. So we've been blown away by the feedback, and we're looking to make some major moves this year as far as nationwide retailers and things like that. So
awesome.
It's a challenge, but it's a good challenge.
Yeah. We'll let you plug that when we get finished with the episode. Make sure people know where to go to find that. So recently we got to talk to a friend of the podcast, formerly known as Crimson, now going by Mayweather. And you recently, down south, we call it a come to Jesus talk. You had a come to Jesus talk with him. And now, along with his new look and his new attitude, he is challenging for the national championship this weekend at PowerrrTrip. What do you think he needs to do to bring home gold this weekend?
I think he's got to. It's pretty much what I told him. Is focus. Like I think that he worries so much about playing up to the crowd and worrying about what people think, and he's in his own head. I see it, you know, a lot with him. And you know, the irony of that is that we all have to worry about our image, right? We all have to be concerned with that. Anyone who says that they don't care what other people think is lying.
Yeah.
You have to care to. It's only to the degree of how much you care is what's different, right? But the irony is that the less you can be affected by what other people think, the more you tend to get a reaction from people,
right? Because
no one's different from everybody else. But the average person really cares what other people think. That's why Twitter is such a dumpster fire.
Yep.
You know, because
TikTok,
everyone's projecting their own anger and insecurity onto everybody else. So if you're to become attractive, and I mean that in the sort of metaphysical sense, not the sort of beauty way,
right?
To sort of attract opportunity and attract success. I mean, you have to learn to not be bothered by that. And the irony is that it's like the less you care, the more you tend to get. I think that that's where he's at. If he can, one of the hardest things in this business is learning how to relax. And if he can do that and and control, because that's a guy carrying around a lot of anger. He carries around a lot of, he's just one of those type of guys. He's wound up tight, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you can harness it in the right direction. So that's what he needs to do. It's a controlled rage.
Right. I mean, he's got all the tools, but if you don't use the tools correctly, what's the point?
Yeah, right. It's all about It's all about effective use of your energy. And again, I mean energy in the wider sense. Like he's got to be able to channel it and really focus. Chris Adonis is like, Chris is a guy who, when you're assessing him as an opponent, it's like you can prepare for him because he puts all his eggs in one basket, right? Power game.
Yep.
Yeah, like sort of. He's gonna try to get his hands on you. He's gonna try to throw you around, right? Like not a lot of avoiding contact with him. Not a lot of movement. Certainly not a lot of aerial stuff. So it's like Anthony is if he can get his tactics right, and he can seize the moment, he may walk out with the strap.
That's what we're hoping, so we can get him in studio, take a photo with that, and then when we get that, when you and Doug get those NWA Tag Team Champions, we'll get you in there and we'll take photos with that. And
there you
go. We're putting it out there in the universe, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy man, so real quick.
I know I gotta go pick up my kid from school.
Real quick before we let you go, where can everybody find you at on social media, and especially the supplement line as well?
So at Real Nick Aldis on Twitter, at Nick Aldis on Instagram, verified on both. Legacy Sports Nutrition is all of our products and all of the different brands. So the Her Legacy, which is directed by Mickey, headed up by Mickey, and the Wellness Collection, they can all be found through legacysupps.com, legacysupps.com. I should throw you guys a promo code. And then that way, that you want battle? Let's do that.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Promo code battle BATTLE will get you 10% off your entire order. How about that?
Bam! There you go.
I might use that for personal use. So,
hey, use it for personal use. And again, Nick, this Saturday, Power Trip, Oak Grove, Kentucky.
Yes.
You, Thom Latimore, I Quit match.
Yes. If you're in the vicinity, if you're in the sort of Clarksville, Oak Grove, Kentucky, Tennessee border kind of area, or even if you're in the Nashville area and you want to see a good night of wrestling, it's a good stacked card, and Oak Grove's a real good venue. It's a fun venue. It's got very, very nice facilities. It's a fun place to go see a wrestling show, and all of those tickets can be found at NWATix.com, and you can also get tickets for the Crockett Cup which are already on sale. NWATix.com.
Go get those tickets right now. And again, Nick, it's an honor to have you on the show, and look forward to getting you back on again, bud.
All right. My pleasure. Thanks, guys.